Dirtle Magic. Thank you for tuning in to Dirtle Magic. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell if you like the content you see here today, and leave a like and share the video with someone you might think is interested. Leaving those likes really helps us out, but another way to help us out is by using our TCG Player affiliate link below. If you're looking for singles, sealed product, or gaming accessories, please consider using our link to support the channel. We also have some playmats at inkgaming.com. Go ahead and hit the link in the description to check those out. Alright, let's grab some spells and dirtle with some magic. Hello and welcome back to Dirtle Magic. Today we're playing Tasigur the Golden Fang. Looking at our opening hand, we do have 2 lands. We do have some interesting stuff, but nothing to do follow-up, no ramp or anything. I think I'm going to mulligan here. New hand. 3 lands, some removal, some potential card draw, some potential recursion. Yeah, I like this hand a lot better. Let's keep it. Our commander, Tasigur the Golden Fang. 5 black for legendary 4/5 human shaman. Delve. For each card you exile from your graveyard to cast this spell, pays for 1 generic mana. 2 Simic. Mill 2 cards, then return an online card of an opponent's choice from your graveyard to your hand. It is nice that it skips over the lands. Our first opponent with a Swamp and Vampiric Tutor straight to the stack is Massacre Girl. 3 black for legendary 4/4 human assassin Menace. When enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each other creature other than Massacre Girl gets an additional -1/-1. And if you've ever played with this or against it, pardon me, it can wipe an entire board, gets around Indestructibility, gets around Hexproof, gets around Shroud. It's a pretty good card, especially if you can keep recurring it, which black is good at doing. If you saw the opening hand we just had, I forgot to take out Peregrine Drake actually for the Massacre Girl, so that will be fixed in the deck list. Unfortunately, Peregrine Drake was going to be part of a combo, but all the other cards were too expensive. I'm trying to keep this deck where each card is under $2 if I can manage. Our next opponent with a Halled Fountain into play is Horde of Notions. Favorite card of mine from back when I kind of first started playing, more or less. For 5 colors, or white, blue, black, red, green, you get a 5/5 legendary creature elemental with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, and for white, blue, black, red, green, you may play target elemental card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So a Reanimator and a board wipe general so far. Mountain and a Wayfarer's Bauble into play for our last opponent, who is Torbran, Thane of Red Fell. 1 red for a legendary 2/4 Dwarf Noble. If a red source you control will deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. Comes our turn, we get a Swamp. Let's start off with the Temple of Mystery, get some scry out of the way. We have Biomancer's Familiar. That'll be a good layer. Let's go ahead and keep that on top. Pass it off to our opponents. So if you weren't here for the beginning of the series, I asked my friend for their Tasigur deck and they sent me a prototype version of it because there's a difference in play style. So this isn't quite my friend's deck, but in kind of like a respect to the way he can build decks for a really low cost comparative to other EDH decks, like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to keep every card in this deck $2 or under. I'm not going to succeed with everything because card prices just keep going up, but you could consider this a more budget build. Over to the Horde of Notions player with a command tower into play. Looks like they're just tapping down passing. I did talk over at Massacre Girl's turn, my apologies there. They had a land come into play and a Hand of Solemgar. Death Touch 2/1. Good for defense, and when Massacre Girl comes down, it'll kill that and trigger another -1/-1 effect. Torbran's turn, Mountain into play. Wayfarer's Bauble gets the crack for another Mountain. To our turn, we get that Biomancer's Familiar. Let's play a Swamp so we can get down the Drowned Catacomb on curve, have it come into play untapped, pass it off to our opponents. Then on the 4th turn, we'll play the Rimewood Falls. Now, I know it's a snowland, and we don't really use any snow stuff in here, but I did add a Farseek, and Farseek can get these lands in particular for color fixing, so that's why they're in the deck. Massacre Girl's turn. Land followed by Phyrexian Arena. Card draw is always good. We have an attack by the hand. It's off into the Horde of Notions player. Alright, so they will take 2 damage. 2 damage is good. They're down to 38 over on the Horde side. Massacre Girl also at 38. Thespian Stage for the Horde of Notions. Nice. It'll become a copy of any land. It'll be a command tower. We have a Mountain and Anger for Torbran. Very fast play today. I rather enjoy it. Ooh, no attacks at Torbran. Okay, over to our turn. We get a Farst. Let's play the Drowned Catacomb. And let's go ahead and play the Rex Sage. Probably going to get some ire from the Massacre Girl player, rather. And we'll just blow up their card draw. No need to keep that around. Let's pass it off. We have a Vampire Nighthawk for the Massacre Girl. Flying Death Touch lifelink, so it could be kind of like a Death Touch tribal, looks like. Also, Vampire Nighthawk is just a really efficient creature. So, there's also that. We have an attack. It's off into Torbran. I mean, if they block with Anger, all their stuff gets haste. Not too bad of a trade-off. Yep, Anger on the intercept. Alright, Anger is down, no damage over to Torbran. But now their creatures get haste because they control a mountain, and Anger is in the graveyard. I wish so much that Anger was an Incarnation Elemental. So much. I really hope they make a new one with a similar effect. Even just repeat the whole cycle, as it were. Over to the Horde of Notions Expedition map coming down for them. Basically, you get to crack it and get any land card you want out of your deck. It gets the crack. Alright, so let's see what they're going to get. They do have to reveal it because it is a specific card type. They get Vesuva, there it is. I do believe Vesuva of the two, it and Thespian Stage. I think Vesuva is the more expensive because you don't have to pay for it, as far as money goes. I do need to pick one up at some point, though. Over to Torbran's turn. They could summon their commander 5 cards in hand after the draw, though. Drop a land, maybe play something like an Urabrask, a Heartless Tasigur, if they really want to do that and have the extra 2 damage. They could play Kazaltar into the Glyphs. There's a lot of good 5 red drops, Terror of the Peaks. But let's see what this particular deck has in store. They tap down all of their mana and pass it off. That I did not see coming. Now I'm just concerned. Hey, we got some ramp. Well, in that case, let's play a farce and ramp some. Seems like a good idea. Migration's Path, go. I did add more ramp to the deck. We really haven't seen too much of it, so kind of wonder where it all is. Alright, let's see what we need here. Looks like we need another black source and I don't know, maybe another green source, I think is a good idea. We do have a lot of green cards in the deck. Let's go to attacks. We will attack the Horde of Notions player, mostly because they could do Reanimator and get a lot of value out of it. I do want to attack Torbran at some point, but I am a little bit more scared of the Horde of Notions player. Damage is good, Horde of Notions down to 36, let's pass it off. Over to the Massacre girl's turn. We do have another land into play, 3 cards in hand otherwise. They could summon their commander and get rid of our Reclamation Sage. Seems kind of like a waste. I'd probably like set up the board presences that you can manipulate anyway to go into Torbran. Oh, here's another Death Toucher. Ruin Rat. What does this do? When it dies, exile a target card from an opponent's graveyard. Oh, that's not too bad for a common at all. I wonder if this Massacre Girl player also has a Finn deck. Seems like it'd be right up their alley. We have an attack. Vampire Nighthawk off into us. Yep, had to happen eventually. We take 2 damage. We're down to 38. Massacre Girl back up to 40. Over to the Horde of Notions player. Healthiest hand in the game at 6 cards. Mounted into play. They can summon their commander. It also does have haste, so I think we're about to get smacked in the face. Oh, sorry, it's Yarok the Desecrated, which is also an elemental. Over to Torbran's turn. 5 cards in hand after the draw. 5 mana on the battlefield, now 6. Embermaw Hellion. Whenever another red source you control deal damage to a permanent, it deals that much damage plus 1. To that permanent or player. Trample, 4/5. Yeah, it's not too bad. I do like the Hellion creature type for the red color of the color pie. I kind of hope they do more in the future. I really haven't seen too many Hellions recently. That's it for Torbran, going to roll over to us. Comes our turn, we get Temple of Milady. Sure, let's go ahead and play that Scry some more. We have Counterspell. Yeah, that might be something viable. Let's go ahead and keep that on top for now. Let's go ahead and get down our Biomancer Familiar. Just have another blocker. If it does live until we get Tasigur down, that's fine too. I think at that point we just pass it off. We have some removal. We do have a board wipe technically, although it's not going to hit those 5 toughness creatures rather. And we do have Soul Manipulation, so that's also good. We could block if they attack first and potentially recur our creature and then counter a creature spell that they have. Specifically for the Horde of Notions player, that seems like a pretty good deal. Over to the Massacre Girl's turn. Castle Lochwain into play. Alright, so that is the card draw one, is it? Yeah. Draw a card, then lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. So it's actually really good if you only have 1 or 2, or if you're playing Villainous Broker of Blood, because I love that card. Typhoid Rats, more Death Touch. Yep, definitely Death Touch tribal at this point. I wonder if they have anything to support this. I think that's usually a green thing, kind of like Finn, or one of the Vraska Planeswalkers. But I'd be interested in seeing. Like, especially if they get, like, a tapper down like Kambodja Witches, and give it Death Touch and start pinging things to death. Could be good politically. We have an attack. Vampire Nighthawk's still into us. That's unfortunate. We'll be taking 2. Damage is good. We're down to 36. Massacre Girl up to 42. I do hope they attack somewhere else at some point, but they are well protected. When you can trade a 1-1 with almost anything on the battlefield, that's pretty good. Over to the Horde of Notions player, and this is where it's going to get tricky. We do have counter magic up, so that's not too bad. Hopefully they are just summoning creatures mostly. Omnath's Locust of the Royal, one of my favorite cards of all time, and definitely one worthy of getting countered. And Horde of Notions quits the game. Sad face. I guess that was their card draw. Oh, good game to our opponent either way. I have a EDH deck led by that Omnath. I know what it can do is pretty good. Over to Torbran. I did add one more spell recursion just to try to get some counter spells back besides our commander. Our Kalemancer in particular because it's cheap. We'll see if we get that. We are not running into any of our extra card draw though, which is somewhat problematic. So I think next turn we definitely need to get our general online and start milling ourselves, getting stuff back from our opponents just to have some kind of card advantage. Massacre Girl is saying in chat that they're upset we blew up their arena. I mean, I can see it. But I wanted to take away that early advantage. If you let something like that or worse Ristic Study sit on the battlefield, it can get out of hand pretty quick. So I think at this point Massacre Girl will control the board if they summon their commander and slowly eke out some card draw with the Castle Lochwain. The Torbran player, though, is scaring me more. They have 4 cards in hand. Haven't played anything yet, so I think they're considering their options here. But they already have a hasty Trampley Hellion. 6 mana in red can do amazing things. Actually, you'll see some of this stuff in the next series. So I'm very concerned, and here comes the tappy mana. I mean, if it's a board wipe, that's not so bad, but I'd rather it not be. Zozu the Punisher. Nice. I do love that card, especially against landfall decks. Luckily, we don't run a landfall deck. We are going to be playing our Rimewood Falls, but hey, at least it's okay. Torbran down, though, it does 4, and it's a favorite in that deck, I do believe. They tap down the rest of their mana. Let's see if they're going to attack anywhere with that Hellion. We can't kill it. I'd rather not just absorb the 1 damage, so I think we just take the 4 if they attacked us. I don't think they're going to attack into the Death Touchers necessarily, but let's see. Oh, no attacks out of Torbran. Alright. Comes our turn, we get that counterspell. Let's play the Rimewood Falls. I think at this point, we'll get down our commander. Zozu, the Punisher, punishes us for slapping down some snowlands. We will exile Migration Path. I think it's done its regular duty here. And let's tap all some mana and get down our commander, Tasigur, the Golden Fang. Alright, and let's pass it off there. I do have some larger end stuff at the top end where we can get some evasion, some flyers, and steal some things. Unfortunately, we don't have any of that stuff at the moment. We do have mana up for a counterspell. We do have mana up for activation on our commander because Biomancer's Familiar reduces it by 2 generic. So I think we're in a good spot so far. Castle Lochwain being activated for the Massacre Girl player. They take some life loss and draw a card. They're down to 37. Dire Fleet Poisoner, Flash and Death Touch, always like some Flash. When it enters the battlefield, target attacking pirate gets 1/1 against Death Touch till end of turn. Okay, so it's mostly for defense. I'm kind of surprised they didn't keep that up, but better to know about things than not. We have an attack. We are still getting hit by that vampire. We take 2. We're down to 31. Massacre Girl player back up to 39. Over to Torbran. Torbran still scares me, but Massacre Girl player is starting to really peck us down here. Probably going to do our board wipe. Possibly, I think we'll just save our commander. Adding 2 counters with the finality side of Find and Finality doesn't really save any of our other creatures. So just making our commander bigger might be pretty good, especially against Torbran and their burn. Probably that next turn. Won't kill the Hellion, but we'll see how other things go otherwise. Land into play, Zozu triggers for the Torbran player. I do want to point out that Torbran will help Zozu deal 4 damage only to their opponent. Oh, alright, Torbran quits the game. That's unfortunate. Comes our turn, we got Opulent Palettes. Let's go ahead and play it. And then I guess we'll do Find and Finality. Well, let's see, is there a better way to get rid of the Death Touchers? Let's actually just draw a card. Or some cards with Sultai Charm. See if we can get some other options going here. Veil of Summer and Sire of Stagnation. Veil of Summer could be good. I don't think it's going to necessarily help us, though, against the Death Touch, because it gives hexproof and not protection. I mean, still pretty good, but let's go ahead and discard it. And then I guess we'll activate our commander to have a go at it. We'll mill 2 cards, then our opponent will choose a non-land card from a graveyard to give back to us. Seems like a good idea. We get Spinning Image and Nature's Claim. Nature's Claim would kind of suck. It's the only card that's actually totally useless for us right now. Alright, they give us back Spitting Image. That could be pretty good. We don't have anything much to clone with it yet. Let's go ahead and pass the turn. I think next turn for sure we're going to do Finality, just to clear the board. Over to Massacre Girl, 2 cards in hand after the draw. We do have Counter Magic up, so let's see what they play. Just countering even just a Death Touch creature at this point would be pretty good. If they summon Massacre Girl, the entire board will get wiped. That's not too much of a problem for Tasigur, though. It is Massacre Girl. Alright, so do we want to counter it? Because Massacre Girl would stay alive, and we don't really have any removal besides Find and Finality. Yeah, let's go ahead and counter it here. Massacre Girl gets countered, I imagine, back to the command zone. There she goes. Nighthawk still on the attack into us. We'll be taking that too again. Down to 29, Massacre Girl up to 41. Comes our turn, we get Ravenous Chupacabra. That's something worthy cloning. We are 1 mana short of doing a clone though. Story of my life, always 1 mana short. It's unfortunate. So instead, let's go ahead and do that Find and Finality, but first, let's activate our Tasigur. We get Veil of Summer back. Not the best, but it'll work out. So we could go ahead and attack for some damage. I think they're just going to let it through, but let's test those wires. Our creatures are going to die anyway. Damage is good there, down to 37. Okay, let's leave green up for Veil of Summer just in case. I mean, you never really know, right? And we will cast Finality. We'll put 2/1/1 counters on Tasigur. Everything else goes bye-bye. Ruin Rats will trigger, though. They get to exile a card from our graveyard. That's a little bit of a sad face. They exile Soul Manipulation, and we'll pass it off there. To our opponent's turn, Swamp into play, 2 cards in hand. They could resummon their commander. It won't really do anything at the moment, though. They activate Damnation. Okay, so let's see what Veil Summer does. Just a hexproof, but we do get to draw a card. So, that's nice. Let's just go ahead and do that. Drawing cards is nice. We get Sir Conrad the Grim. That works out. We'll put our commander back in the command zone. Delve and the cost reduction are very good. Wasteland Scorpion, Death Touch, and Cycling 2. Comes our turn, we get Terramorphic Expanse. Sure, let's go ahead and play it. Crack it, and get an island. There we go. So, let's see. We could do our commander for black, 4 mana for the Chupacabra, and then 4 mana for an activation on our commander. Let's go ahead, cast our commander, exile some stuff from the graveyard. It will have to be 5 cards. My mistake, 7 cards. Tasigur, the Golden Fang. All of our graveyard gets exiled, but we keep the familiar, some removal and recursion, and Sultai Charm for some card draw. Let's play the Chupacabra. We'll destroy the Scorpion. And then let's go ahead and activate our commander now, just to show them that we don't have anything going on here. They have 0 cards in hand, so I'm not terribly worried about it. We have Painful Truths and Temple of Deceit. I'd be happy getting anything back, really, except maybe the Find and Finality, just because it's the most useless at the moment. But it does have recursion on it, and we could potentially make our commander bigger, swing out with commander damage. We get Painful Truths back, that works for me. Let's go ahead and pass it off. 2 Massacre Girls turn, 1 card in hand, then played. It's a Swamp. They can draw a card off the Loch Lane. They'll actually lose no life for it either. And Massacre Girl gives it up. Alright, so who do we want to give the point to? I think we'll give it to Massacre Girl just for staying in the game as long as they did. I mean, they're trying to get something, but they just weren't getting it. Blowing up that Phyrexian Arena early really set them back. And there are the scores. We get 1 point. The Massacre Girl player gets 3 points. Nice. The Horde of Notion player gets 1. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. I made a few tweaks and changes, not much from the last game, but like I said, trying to keep most of the cards, if not all of them, $2 and under. Let's go take a look. Okay, here's the deck. Like I was saying earlier, I did add our Kalemancer. I did want to have another way to get back our instants and sorceries. Counter magic is great when somebody wants you to have it, but not so much when they don't. With Tasigur's ability, they do get to choose, so I wanted to have something where it kind of mitigated that. Now our Kalemancer's a good cheap card. Drop it, get some value out of it, no problem. I added in Nature's Claim here, just because it's a cheap card, it's really good. They do get 4 life out of it. And frankly, Tasigur I might build myself in paper just because it's kind of like a you get to have your choice of damnations kind of deck. And I'd love that card in the deck too. A little bit expensive though. Veil of Summer also just to have that extra card draw. I mean, green for one card, it's pretty good. Gives yourself hexproof from blue and black. Your spells can't be countered by blue and black stuff. So most of the time this card will be at least some card draw. So it's not too bad, it replaces itself. Added Siege Behemoth, coming in over $1 but under 2 for one of the copies anyway. It does have hexproof, it's a 7/4 so it can hurt a lot. And as long as it's attacking, each creature we control that's attacking can assign combat damage as though it wasn't blocked, making them essentially unblockable, which can be very good. If you are running a Fin deck, I recommend it. Other than that, more top-end shakeups. I did add Cyclone Summoner. Yes, it is a much worse Cyclonic Rift, rather. However, it does bounce all the non-land permanents, and sometimes you just need something. Plus, it won't bounce itself. So you still come out ahead with a 7/7. So as far as cheap removal goes, there's stuff like Evacuation, Flood of Tears, which I really like, and then Cyclone Summoner. I did want something maybe that we can recur as a creature, or perhaps if you want to add some blink to the deck to help control the board. So I'm trying it out in here, and I think it'll actually do better than I think people give it credit for. Again, it's not a Psych Rift. I don't think we'll ever have anything better than a Psych Rift. At least I hope not, but it's in here for that reason. Then we have Sepulchral Primordial. Pretty classic card, that whole cycle. The green one's even banned in Commander. But this will help you finish a game by stealing your opponent's best dead creatures. And if it can't steal anything, it's still 5/4 with Intimidate. Nothing to sneeze at over the long term. And like I said, I actually, during that game, I went in and snuck in the Massacre Girl over the Peregrine Drake. I love this card. You can recur it. It's a board wipe that is repeatable. Gets around, Hexproof Shroud, Indestructible, Protection. It's a great card that I think is a little bit underrated. Not by much. The Menace, again, is also very good for attacking. Anyway, that's it. We'll go over the whole thing in the deck tech. At least the key elements. You know, the removal, the recursion, the counter magic, stuff like that. But if you saw anything in this video that you want to purchase for yourself in paper, some sealed product coming up, Time Spiral Remastered just came out. We're already on to Strixhaven at this point. Or if you want some sleeves to protect all that nice new goodness, all that shininess, please consider using the TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. It helps out the channel and doesn't cost you anything. Okay, on to the next commander for Time Spiral Remastered. A personal favorite commander of mine. I figure I did a commander I felt like was definitely my friend's, like one of his signature style kind of decks. Now we're going to go over to like my signature style of deck, because nostalgia and gatherings and all that stuff, which will hopefully all come back soon. But if you want a clue, canes and crutches. Until then, stay safe and I'll see you around.